This sprawling metropolis, synonymous with power, pride, wealth, decadence, and demise, has made an indelible mark on the annals of human history. Inhabited by many different peoples through many ages, Babylon's tale and mark on history is much more dynamic and relevant than the caricature built in the public imagination. The early days of Babylon are shrouded in mystery, but it does seem to have been a minor power, subservient to the dominant Sumero-Akkadian city-states in the region, such as Ur, Kish, and Lagash, in its formative period. This changed after waves of Amorite migrations and then invasions of Sumer. The earliest Sumerian writings condescendingly spoke of the Amorites as uncivilized, dirty, and nomadic, who did not bury their dead and ate raw meat. A massive wall in northern Mesopotamia was built between the Tigris and Euphrates to keep them from migrating through Syria, but they merely seem to have traveled around it through the desert. The Amorites quickly integrated into Sumerian society. Even before their invasions, a few Sumerian cities began having Amorite names among their kings' lists. The Elamites of Susa took this opportunity to invade and sack Ur, taking their last king back to Susa, along with the city's wealth. Amorites would come to dominate the majority of Mesopotamian cities. However, the Amorites were not united, and it was every city for itself in the centuries following the collapse of the Neo-Sumerian Empire. Over the first 100 years of Amorite rule in Babylon, a humble port city was transformed into a regional player, taking the ancient cities of Kish and Sapar. But it was not until the Amorite king Hammurabi took the throne that Babylon would rival the glory of any past Mesopotamian empire. Hammurabi quickly expanded his territory, and when an Elamite plot was uncovered, to instigate a war between Babylon and Larsa, an alliance was made to crush Elam, which Hammurabi did, without Larsa's help. After Elam paid tribute, Hammurabi's anger turned towards Larsa for their failure to come to his aid. Hammurabi's battle-hardened army subjugated Larsa and her allies, thus gaining control of the entirety of the lower Mesopotamian delta by 763 BC. Hammurabi would rapidly organize a campaign in the north, taking Eshnunna, whose well-established trade routes brought in a formidable source of income, and through the following year, he would take Assyria, installing a puppet king, and his former ally of Mari, whom had aided him in his conquest of the south. Hammurabi is perhaps most famous today for his law code, which there are many surviving examples of, that cover everything from theft, slander, divorce, property owners' liability, mercantile law, and more. These prominently displayed law codes portrayed Hammurabi as a just and caring ruler for all his people. Throughout his reign and in the centuries after Hammurabi's death, the worship of the Amorite god Marduk would eclipse the old Sumerian gods, and Babylon would replace Nippur and Eridu as Mesopotamia's most holy city. Immediately following Hammurabi's death, all political influence over Elam and Assyria seems to have vanished, and the southern Mesopotamian cities rose in revolt against Hammurabi's son. He would militarily be successful throughout his reign, holding on to the south and keeping peace and prosperity in the heartland. However, Babylon did not have the resources to hold on to the north. Waves of new peoples migrating from the east would dominate. The Hurrians, chariot masters, would form several squabbling kingdoms, and would soon unite in the north. The Kassites also poured into northern Mesopotamia, quickly adopting the local culture. During this time of upheaval, even mighty Egypt was not immune, and would be invaded and conquered by the Hyksos, a people of possibly mixed Hurrian, Asiatic, and Semitic origin, who ruled Egypt for 100 years. It was then that the Hittite king, Mursili I, fresh from his conquest of northern Syria, set out on an unprecedented forced march deep into Mesopotamia, plundering all that lay in his way. The completely shocked and unprepared Babylonians were no match for his veteran army. This was not a war of conquest, it was one of plunder. After sacking the city, Mursili traveled back to his distant capital of Hattusa, with as much loot as they could possibly carry, and thousands of slaves. The warlike Kassites, who were minimally damaged by the Hittite campaign, easily conquered the demoralized remnants of Babylon. They would rebuild the city and completely adopt Babylonian culture. They would rapidly expand Babylonian territory to all central and lower Mesopotamia. The Hurrian peoples would join together in the north, forming the powerful